Why, do you have a notes packet? If you don't, you can go up and grab one out of the geometry tray. All right, so this next lesson is on 6.2, which is special right triangles. So last lesson you did Pythagorean theorem, and that was a way to find a missing side of a right triangle if you just had one, or if you had two sides. This one will work if we only have one side. And it has to be very specific triangles. It either has to be a 45, 45, 90 or a 30, 60, 90 triangle, meaning two of the angles are 45 and we have a 90, or we have a 30, 60, 90 degree angles. So in a 45, 45, 90, that one's a little bit of an easier one. Two of the sides are the same. These two sides are the same length. We call those the legs, and we're going to just call those X. So the legs have some length X. Now the hypotenuse, that is the side across from the 90-degree angle, and it has a length as X square root of 2. So basically, whatever length the leg is, the hypotenuse is, we multiply by square root of 2. So what if I was given the hypotenuse? So if you are given the height, how do you find a leg? So if I'm given the x square root of 2, how would I get back to x? Any ideas? We would divide by square root of 2. So if I'm going from leg to hypotenuse, I multiply by square root of 2. But if I'm going backwards, if I'm given the hypotenuse, I want to divide by square root of 2. So number 1, this 8 and the x, those are both my legs. So they are the same length. So x would be 8. Now to find y, that's my hypotenuse, I would multiply by the square root of 2. So it would be 8 square root of 2. So we really didn't have to do any calculations or anything to find those side lengths. And that will sometimes be the case. So number 2, these sides are both my legs. So they're both 25, which means that y is 25. And so x, or my hypotenuse, would be 25 square root of 2. Number 3, this time I'm given the hypotenuse. So I have to find one of the legs. So we do that by taking the hypotenuse divided by square root of 2. But somebody decided a long time ago that they don't like square roots in the denominator. Don't know why, don't have a reason for it, but we got to get it out. And so the way that we get rid of that square root in the bottom is we multiply the top and the bottom by whatever that square root is. That's called rationalizing the denominator. If you have a fraction and you multiply the top and the bottom by some number, it doesn't really change anything. It just changes the way it looks. So this becomes 19 square root of 2 on the top. On the bottom, when you have square root of 2 times square root of 2, your answer is just 2. So 19 square root of 2, or 19 radical 2 over 2. And since X and Y, they're the same, they're both legs, so I'm not even going to rewrite that. They're both 19 square root of 2 over 2. Now, the 30, 60, 90 is a little harder just because there's 3 different sides this time instead of 2 different ones. So we, instead of just calling the sides legs, we have to be more specific. So we say short leg, long leg. So the short leg is the one across from the 30. It's the shorter one, the smaller one. And then we have the long leg and the hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse is always, always, always across from the 90. And then we have a short leg and a long leg. All right, so the short leg, we're just going to call that one X. So that's kind of our starting point. The long leg is X square root of 3. And the hypotenuse is 2x. So if we start out and we're given the short leg, it's pretty easy. All we have to do is either multiply by square root of 3 or multiply by 2. But if, let's say we are given one of the others, if we want to find the short leg, we would take the long leg divided by square root of 3 or the hypotenuse divided by 2. So just kind of going backwards. If we are trying to find the short leg, we divide instead of multiply. So for example, on number 4, I am given the short leg. So it helps sometimes to go in and label. So for example, this is the short leg, the long leg, and the hypotenuse. So since I'm given the short leg, don't really have to do anything except for X, that's my long leg. So I'm just going to put a square root of 3 by it. So it'd be 5 square root of 3. And then Y, that's my hypotenuse. I just do 5 times 2, which is 10. Number 5, go ahead and label your 3 sides, short leg, long leg, hypotenuse. So this one would be my short leg, long leg, and hypotenuse. So this time I'm given my hypotenuse. So we can find the short leg by taking my hypotenuse divided by 2. So 32 divided by 2 is 16. So that gives me my short leg, or X. And then Y, that's my long leg, which is my short leg times square root of 3. So 16 square root of 3. Any questions so far? Okay. All right, number 6, we label our sides. Short leg, long leg, hypotenuse. Again, I'm given the hypotenuse. So go to the short leg first. And we get 46 divided by 2 is 23. So Y is 23. And so then my long leg would be 23 square root of 3. And number 7, short leg, long leg, hypotenuse. So this is a super easy one. Don't even have to divide. So my hypotenuse, it would be 2 times 14, which is 28. And my long leg would be 14 square root of 3. Any questions? So let's look on. We're going to have some that are a little harder, and now we have them mixed up. So we have the 45, 45, 90s and the 30, 60, 90s. So luckily for you all, because you get to use your notes on your test, you don't really have to have these memorized. So as long as you kind of know what everything means, what those x and the x squared of 2 means, you'll be fine. All right, so 8 is a 30, 60, 90. So we have a short leg, long leg, and hypotenuse. So my short leg, I take my hypotenuse divided by 2, which is 8. So y is 8. And then my long leg would be 8 square root of 3. Number 9, this one is a 45, 45, 90. And remember, my two legs are the same. So x is 4. And my hypotenuse would be 4 square root of 2. Number 10, this is a 45, 45, 90, so my two legs are the same. But this time I'm given the hypotenuse. So in order to find a leg, we have to take the hypotenuse divided by square root of 2. Now, when we have a square root on the top and a square root on the bottom, this is really just like the square root of 10 divided by 2, which is a square root of 5. So you didn't really have to do that rationalizing the denominator. So x and y are both square root of 5. Number 11, this one is a 30, 60, 90. So this would be my short leg, long leg, and hypotenuse. For the first time, we are given a long leg. So the short leg, if we look back at our notes, we take the long leg and divide it by the square root of 3. And those actually cancel. Just like if I had an x in the top and an x in the bottom, they just cancel, leaving me with 15. So x is 15. My hypotenuse is 2 times that. So it's 30. Number 12. This is a 30, 60, 90. We have a short leg, long leg, hypotenuse. So I'm given the long leg. So in order to find my short leg, I have to take 20 divided by square root of 3. But this time, nothing cancels out, so I have to do that rationalizing. So we have to multiply the top and the bottom by square root of 3. So the top becomes 20 square root of 3. The top just becomes 3. Square root of 3 times square root of 3 is 3. So that's my short leg, which is y. Now the hypotenuse, I have to take that 20 square root of 3 over 3 times 2. And that's really like 2 over 1. So So if we multiply straight across, the top becomes 40 square root of 3, and the bottom is just 3. Questions on that one? Number 13, 30, 60, 90. So a short leg, long leg, hypotenuse. So I'm given the long leg. To find the short leg, I have to divide that by square root of 3. And those cancel, just leaving me with 9. So x is 9. And then my hypotenuse is just 2 times 9, which is 18. Now 14 and 15, we have two triangles that are put together. So I think it helps if you draw them out separately. But that's just me. You don't have to. So this is 12. So this would be my short leg, long leg, hypotenuse. So to find the short leg, we take our hypotenuse divided by 2, which is 6. That was x. So x is 6. Then my long leg, which is right here, would be 6 square root of 3. Now my bottom triangle is a 45, 45, 90, so these two legs are the same. So if that top one we found was 6 square root of 3, y is also 6 square root of 3. And then to find the hypotenuse of a 45, 45, 90, you take your side times square root of 2. And this is 6 square root of 6. So you just multiply what's under the square roots. Like that. Number 15. Let's see, I'm going to do this one first. 7 square root of 3. That's my short leg. This is my long leg and my hypotenuse. So to find my hypotenuse, we take the 7 square root of 3 times 2, and that becomes 14 square root of 3. So x is 14 square root of 3. Now my long leg, we take 7 square root of 3 times square root of 3. Because remember, you take your short leg times square root of 3. Well, that's 7. When I have square root of 3 times square root of 3, that's 3. So 7 times 3 is 21. And if you didn't know that, you could type that in your calculator and it would tell you 21. 7 square root of 3 times square root of 3. So that didn't really correspond with any. That was this side right there. So that was 21. And for my next triangle, that is my short leg. This is my long leg and my hypotenuse. Because now I'm looking right here. So my hypotenuse, that would be 21 times 2, which is 42. That was y. And then my long leg would be 21 square root of 3. Is there any questions?